Hello, my name is Eric Normand, and this is my vlog. This is a business vlog, and I was doing it quite regularly last year, and I kind of gave up on it. And so I want to start again. It's the new year again. That probably has something to do with it. But I remember feeling that it was giving me quite a bit of clarity when I was doing it before. So I was recording it like outside in the backyard with my cell phone, and that worked just fine. I wanted something low overhead, but I'm planning on doing a lot more recording of this kind of personal discussion, podcasting, videos on YouTube. So I made myself a little studio space in the corner of my office. So behind me, I got some nice whiteboards. This table is actually whiteboard material, so I can write all over it. I don't know if I'll do something with that, but that was my idea I had with it. And yeah, here I am, all set up to get this going. Okay, so this is going to be, I hope, a daily thing where I spend 10 or 15 minutes talking about what I'm thinking about, what I'm working on, that kind of thing. And one of the things that I thought was very clarifying last year was that I would talk about my three main focuses. And I do it early in the morning. And so that would really help set the mood for the rest of the day. And when I look back into my most productive period, I think it was at that time when I was doing that. At least I felt most productive. I don't have actual measurements. How do you measure such a thing? Okay. So this year I've got two focuses. I've got two. The first one is I want to have more and better content on purelyfunctional.tv. So the focus is purelyfunctional.tv, but the focus inside of purelyfunctional.tv is more content and better content. So what I'm working on right now is to update the web development course. It is my second course, and it is quite old. It's only an hour long. See, this is the thing. I've learned a lot since then. When I first made that course, I made it very tight and concise, and I scripted everything, and I wanted it to show that, look, you can do a whole website or a whole app in an hour. So there's a half hour. The first video is a half hour. The second video is a half hour. And we get a web app in a half hour. But talking to people over the years, the main complaint is that it's not very friendly for someone coming in to web development in Clojure. And the main idea behind it, I've had long discussions with people about this. The main idea is it's too terse. I leave out so much. I leave so much implied. Or I'll mention it once in a sentence in passing when it's a main idea. And what I've learned over the years is that it's much better to have a conversational, unscripted, and maybe repetitive tone and mode of talking, and just to have people listen to it, right? My idea back then was that, okay, I'm going to be concise because then people can stop and rewind and use the video for all it's worth, right? But the people don't tend to do that. They want it given to them much more passively when they're watching video, which is fine. Passive just means they want the video to guide them through. They don't want to be guiding themselves. And that's great. The other thing was I focused a lot on exercises. And that's good. Exercises are always good. But I left out mentioning things that you would have to learn from the exercises. And I think a lot of people simply gave up because they weren't being guided enough. The exercises were very much just like, okay, now do this. And you had to kind of figure out how to do it. So I am redoing it. And I started yesterday thinking, okay, I have a quiet day at home. I'm alone. I'll just whip open the video, see what I did before, and then start recording. And once I opened the video, which actually took until the end of the day, I just did not, I procrastinated on it. I realized, wow, this thing, I don't need to watch it all. I watched enough. I just throw it away, start over. I learned so much. Also, I've learned a lot about how to prepare these things. And so I should just re-prepare this whole thing. And then today I was thinking, okay, I've been thinking about it since I watched it, and I kind of already have a lot of notes on it that were from before. A year ago, or maybe it's a year and a half ago, I spent a week typing out everything that we did in the video into notes, and they're on the course. And wouldn't you know it, I started looking at my notes, and I kept thinking, man, there's a lot more I need to say. So this is a 1-hour course, and it's probably going to turn into an 8-hour course, which is great. It just means that that whole starting over thing is true. And so I started making an outline for the stuff I need to teach. And so that's where I'm at. I've got a very preliminary outline, and it is nowhere near ready to record on. Now, this is unfortunate because part of my idea for how to get more content and better content is to have different things in development at the same time, right? So you'll have stuff that's in pre-production, stuff that's in production. There's not very much post-production, but maybe something might be in sales or launch mode, right? And that I could be working on the three at the same time because they're so different. They require different kinds of time. So the recording definitely requires long stretches of quiet time. So the best time is when I have the whole house to myself, so no one can make noise in the house. I have a family, so I have to consider that. Which means the weekends are no good. My daughters are home on the weekends. They don't have school. So they're the noisiest. My wife she can stay quiet, but the kids can't. So anyway, I need to, budget that for that recording time. But that means I need stuff prepared, right? And so when I don't have quiet time, I could probably be working on notes and stuff to prepare. or I could be working on the pre-production. And so, okay, let me give my process so that this is a little more clear. My process for content creation, for making a course, is I write out a long form guide. Now, this is not meant to be like a script or anything. This is meant to be read. This is meant to be a valuable resource, a valuable guide for someone, and I usually release it for free. That's what I've been doing so far. So long meaning 5,000, 8,000 words, which is like 8,000 words, like 30 pages or so. And the idea is to create a piece of content that will, it has a lot of purposes, right? Should be useful to people. It should be good for SEO, right? So it should be like a comprehensive, authoritative guide to a topic. And then what it also does is it lets me explore the material in a medium that is very edit friendly. So if I forget something, I can put it in later. If I make a typo, if I want to change an example here or there, I can do that really easily. Video is not like that. Usually if you make a mistake in the video, or you need to correct something or add something, it's a big hassle. Even just consider, like, it would look weird if all of a sudden my shirt changes color because I was in a different shirt, and I videotape myself with the corrected version, and then I edit it in. That would be weird. Okay, so that is the first part, and I'm calling that pre-production, right? So it's basically the outline for the next part, the video, the recording. So whatever sections I decide to divide the thing into, that becomes the outline for the video. And I usually make one lesson per section. Same title, same topic. But what happens, which is a good thing that happens with this, is that when I launch the guide, the written guide, I get some good feedback. A lot of people give me, oh, you forgot this, or can you explain this better, things like that. And because it's edit friendly, I can go and do that. And I usually let it sit for a few weeks so that the material has some time. My brain has some time to get used to it. I can look at it with fresh eyes again. People have comments on it. I can make little changes. And then once it feels stable, which is about a few weeks, maybe a month or two, it can go a while, I start making plans to record it. Okay. One thing that I don't want to do is record something that I have to re-record very soon after. And I just don't have the resources. I'm a single, employee here. I'm the only one who can really do the recording. So if I have to record and then re-record, I should instead be recording two different things, right? I would prefer to record two different things. Right. So this is phase 2, is I take that guide and I record it. The guide is kind of stabilized. The content is good. I'm getting positive feedback on it. So I just block out days and kind of figure out, is this something that needs to be screen captured, right? Is this me typing code, right? That's usually what it is. But sometimes it's me in front of a whiteboard. And that requires different considerations. I have to set up the lights. I have to, shave. I have to comb my hair. There's all sorts of things that need to be done, and so I want to kind of batch those up because there's a lot of cost associated with being ready to film on the whiteboard, which is right. You can't see it, but it's right here, or versus filming just me typing, which I can set up in a minute or two. Right. Okay, so then I'll go through and I'll record everything. And then I release it, I publish it as I go. And then when I'm near the end, I start thinking about the launch. So the launch is when I start. So usually when I'll save. I won't really announce it. I'll start publishing it, but until I've got 3 or 4 lessons in, I won't really start talking about it. That's just because I don't want to send people to something that doesn't have any content yet. But I'll start sending to them, and I have a low price, and I'll mention that this is it's basically half price during the production of it. So I'm calling that the early access program. Okay, so you can buy the thing for a cheaper price during the early access program. It's not all ready yet, but I'm in the middle of making it, right? Another thing for having the 3 videos first is that I'm proving to myself that I've already started some momentum so I can put them out. Okay, so then when I'm near the end, I start thinking about the launch. How long has this course turned out to be? What's the price? I should start talking about it and mentioning it, that it's nearly ready. All while I'm recording, I put links to the stuff in my newsletter. So people do know that something's going on, but they don't know how close it is to the end. Unless they figure out that I'm following the guide as an outline. I don't talk about that much with my customer list. But anyway, I get to the end and I launch it, meaning I have a sale, and I can't do half off. It's got to be a little bit more expensive, and that's kind of like a reward for joining up earlier. And I talk about it, talk about the dates when it's going to happen, and then I launch. And that's usually like 6 emails going out to the list. And then after the launch is over, the price goes up, and then it's done. It's out in the world. I'm finished. I usually take a break from recording, but mostly that's because I don't have something else to record. I would love to have continuously recording. Every day would be awesome, but I've just never managed to do that. Right. So that is my process. And so I like to have something that I'm writing, like a new guide, something that I'm recording. So a guide from like a month ago. So I'm writing this guide for 1 month. During that time, I'm also recording the month before's guide. And I should also be launching the thing that I just finished recording, right? That would be ideal, but it turns out that that's quite a lot to do, and I just don't think I have the focus. Maybe I can approach it incrementally, but I don't know how. I don't know how. I feel like there's some block somewhere where I can't. I procrastinate and make excuses and things like that, and I just can't get all of that out. maybe it's too much. Maybe that's my body telling me I shouldn't be doing so much like that, but I'm not sure. I don't know if it's me self-limiting. Well, it's obviously me self-limiting, but is it for a good reason or a bad reason? That's what I'm trying to get at. Okay, so I'm working on the web dev, and now I'm looking at it like this could be a written guide. So I'm kind of thinking maybe I should shelve the other guide I was planning on working on, because I can't write two things at the same time. See, that's another thing. I do feel that I only have a certain number of words in my fingers every day, that I can't type more than a certain amount of time. And it's much easier to, say like type 5 pages in the morning, and then in the middle of the day record, and then in the last part of the day answer emails. That's kind of how I was thinking. So we're in the middle of the day right now, which is great for recording. All right. So I don't know what else I want to say about that. This is just kind of me. It's therapy for me. My other focus, I said I had two. That was the first focus, which is content. My other focus is being an expert, functional programming expert. So publicly making myself an expert in the eyes of people. So it's branding, personal branding. And the main thing I'm doing with that at the moment, so there's a bunch of initiatives happening at the same time. I have a podcast, which I haven't recorded in a couple months now, but I have a podcast called Thoughts on Functional Programming, and it's going to restart soon. Actually, I might record right after this in this new little studio. This is like the season 2 where I've upgraded everything. Just for context, I used to record it on my phone, in the car or walking around, because I wasn't super serious about it as a podcast. I know that sounds bad, but what I mean is it didn't start as something to be a podcast, right? It started as I wanted to write a book, and I wanted to explore the ideas and get them recorded, and then I'd transcribe them, and then I'd have some starting point for the book that I was writing. It's always easier to edit than it is to write something the first time and get the words out. And I can talk forever. So why not talk? I'll get writer's block where I can't make words come out of my fingertips, but I never get talker's block, which is kind of interesting, right? So I can talk all the time. And you know what? Actually, here's a secret. I feel like I might start getting talker's block, because now talking has a lot of consequence, right? Am I going to put out a good episode this time? Am I going to say things right? Because it's recorded and I know people are listening. I think that's where the writer's block comes from, is people are going to read it. You remember all the good things you've done, and are you going to live up to that? It's just stupid fear stuff. Anyway, I've got that podcast, and the listenership was going up. I haven't published anything recently, so it's hard to get numbers. It's hard to look at the numbers because the new episodes always had more stuff, more listeners than the old ones. But I'm sure it'll go back up. And then another thing was I would transcribe it, put that on my website, and then take the transcriptions and turn it into tweets, and then schedule those out on Twitter, so that I'm constantly broadcasting little quotable moments from the podcast onto Twitter and people can see them and share them. And I think I get quite a lot of listeners from that. It's kind of expensive to do. And the transcript, I wanted to do the transcript originally because of the book, but now, which I'll talk about in a second, the book is not going to be so text heavy. And so the transcripts aren't going to really help for that. And well, they cost money to make. And I don't have infinite money. I would love to be able to spend money on stuff like that, but I'm just considering maybe not doing transcripts anymore. And then that would mean that I couldn't do the tweets too. I'm not sure though, because a lot of people have told me, wow, I really appreciate your efforts in the branding department. And I think what they are talking about is just like I'm all over Twitter. Like I'm posting several times a day. And it's interesting ideas, and I'm the post. So, I'm not using it as a broadcast medium. I have a whole Twitter strategy. I'll share that in another vlog. I probably have already talked about it before, but I'll share that later. Okay. The other thing is I'm writing a book, and I have written several chapters several times. What's happened is it started as a very text-heavy book, very textual, just writing book, and it has evolved into a much more visual book, and so it's outside of my comfort zone. So is I guess what I'm saying. I don't know how to do this. I don't know if it's going to work. But the stuff I have written is working really well. And so that book is part of, building my expertise. I think it's ideas that need to get out there. It's not just me writing this thing just to have a book so that as like a business card. It is definitely good ideas that I think people need to know. All about functional programming. And yes, so those are my two focuses. I'm constantly trying to simplify this. I used to have 3 focuses, but I got rid of the third, which was the conference. I'll do it again next year, but this year I've just got too many things and I had to simplify. The process for doing the Twitter stuff is mostly automated. It's kind of hard I find it's hard for people to take the transcripts and find the good nuggets in it and put them in a way that I would put them. So I would love to find a person I could hire who would be good at that. But I haven't found someone that I would put my name on the tweets. I've tried 2 different people, and the quality just wasn't there. Meaning I read it and I'm like, but that's just not technically correct, or it's grammatically funny. Or why would you think that's interesting? This other sentence right next to it is way more like punchy, and that's the thing to say. So I just haven't been satisfied. I have 2 people in mind that I would love to hire, but I don't think I can afford them. I don't make that much money, so I barely afford to pay myself. So it's gotta wait. All right. My name is Eric Normand. I teach functional programming on purelyfunctional.tv, and that's my business, my main business. So that is my vlog for today. Thank you.